Hello, I'm Verde Augusto, and this is the Schumann Resonance Harmonics channel on YouTube and Facebook. It's the 14th of April. Let me get set up. Okay, there I am. All right, I'm recording. Okay, it's been a little while. Thank you for being here. It has been a while. I've been a little camera shy. Maybe had a little case of stage fright. But I'm generally always working on something. I've been working pretty much daily on the Facebook group, and I'm sure I will have the link for the Facebook group in the description. Reminder to self. Okay. So I've been out of the YouTube kind of rotation for a little while. I've made some posts just to let people know I'm still alive. And like I said, I'm on Facebook, but I also have a regular post on WordPress. I have the website that I've been tending to, and I have Patreon. So I have a lot that's going on in addition to my regular job. And so my guides have been reminding me that it's not only important for me to post relevant scientific information and how to read this stuff, but it's really important now as things are going crazy that the folks out there, you who are my faithful followers, my listeners, when I'm relevant, when I'm posting something, those of you who are follow me, we need to stay in contact with each other. And even though it may be difficult for me in talking, we're all not face to face here. We're all not in the same campground, as it were. So it can be difficult. But, as people hear from folks like myself who have a good positive message, your spirits are lifted up. And I have to remember that this is one of the main reasons why I'm here at this time, to help keep everyone's spirits, not everyone, the whole world, but, the everyone that know me, keep their spirits are, high and keep the vibrations up. And in the background, you can kind of see that's one of the flags for my work. I worked at a fetish bar, and that's one of the pups flags. It's the LBG pup flag. See the little pup paw. So I've changed the studio around a little bit, and I've kind of have a little different background. I've been working with Scram. I've been working in the studio, and that's the other thing. I've been working with Alex here in the studio, and we're planning on doing something together. We don't know what, but I've been doing the technical part and getting all the infrastructure together. So we have the website. We have a couple, at some point soon, I'm going to show you the studio where we've come with that, because a lot of that is by the support of you financially, but also remembering there's people that want to hear my message. And I always remember that there's people that need to and want to hear the message of what's really going on with the Schumann resonances and the other stuff that we talk about, but specifically the namesake of the Schumann resonance harmonics. All right, so with that introduction said, that was relatively quick and painless. Let's move on to the actual material that we're covering. This was done originally for the Facebook group, and I need to say that the Facebook group has like 15, almost 16,000 members, and it's got a life to itself. And I keep the YouTube and the Facebook with a little bit of a distance, but there is overlap. And I have posted in the Facebook group the videos I've made, and there's some overlap, but I work to keep them, generally as their own thing, because I'm the administrator of the Facebook group that goes with this channel. And then there's also another Facebook group that's a public group that I didn't start, but I'm the administrator of. So I'm the admin of two Facebook groups, and there's some crossover. So sometimes I'll make posts, and often enough, I'll make posts over there that I'll put them as posts here, and I will also sometimes make videos on it, and so this is one of those things. That long introduction there. So this is one of those subjects that I have done with the intention of doing for the Facebook groups, but it is also completely relevant here. And so I wanted to bring that out into the YouTube community, that we can kind of benefit from the I guess we could call this a lesson in the lexicon, I guess, if you will. The problem with this subject matter, I believe, is that it is fairly complex. There's a fairly steep learning curve to understanding the basics of just radio waves, just EMF. Okay, so that's the first part of our issue, is dealing with the background of a lot of technical stuff and giving a relevant definition to the words we're using, our word set that I use, that we use in describing the Schumann resonances, relative to, again, the technical and scientific and standard accepted engineering of the Schumann resonances as the measurable natural phenomena surrounding the Earth. Hopefully that's a good, not complicated way to put it. Okay, looks like I'm back. All right. All right, so this is intended to be like an ebook type, one of those videos that doesn't really have a visual content, but it's more of me doing reading. And I have a good number of videos that are of that sort, that have little to no visual, little no pictures. It's just text. And I get feedback from my audience, my subscribers, that they like that, and I like doing that as well. That you could just kind of play it in the background, and then you don't have to worry about, you see the video once and you see it's just a bunch of words, and you can see the spelling on things if you need to, but it's not one you have to continually look at it. I have those, I do those are fine, but I like also having these that are the solid information that you can kind of go back to and refer to back to. I really truly like that, the ones where you can keep going back to, because they're good solid information. All right, so this is a work in progress. This is going to be developing in time. What I did here was I went through a lot of the things I posted already, and I had already had them in the format of the word, period, and then the definition behind them. So what I did is I went to a lot of the stuff that I've already posted and kind of got what's here. So I have the links in a lot of the literature itself, where the sources are. And if there's any question on, where am I getting my information from, leave comments, and I will put the references. And I love sharing this information with people, because you really get to know. The more you know, the more fun it is for me. I think that's a good way to put it. I really do. I think the more that you know, the more you ask me intelligent, kind of specialized questions, the happier it makes me, because it makes me feel like I'm doing something useful. I mean, I am doing something useful. I work in the bikes, that's useful enough. But relative to the Schumann resonances, I need to be engaged and involved with you guys. It's been a while. I haven't seen comments, except from a few people. My two loyal ones, and the Patreon. Thank you, David, Julie David, and Bradley and Jackie, and a few others who've commented, miss you. So I just wanted to put this out. I don't know if I'll have this as a premiere, but I need to start doing some videos. I have a lot of material that need to be put as videos, and I'm working on getting it out. So, all right. So, almost 10 minutes. All right. So, all right. So a lexicon is basically a common understanding of a vocabulary. It's not the whole vocabulary because it's there's some words that have multiple meanings. And a lexicon attempts to reduce the confusion caused by multiple meanings of a word. So a lexicon is a defined subset of a vocabulary that applies to a specialized branch of learning or a specialized branch of science or engineering or something. There are engineering terms. There are mathematical terms. There's a lexicon. Often enough, it comes with a jargon of itself that you got to know the words and they use it a certain way, things like that. So what we're attempting to do here is kind of decrypt not just the Schumann resonances and the technical aspects and all of that, but the words underpinning what's happening. I think it's really important for people to know what the words themselves are. And so I use a lot of words, and it comes to me. People ask, what, explain more. And so I thought that it was about time that I would make a post, put in a few places, that starts building our lexicon of understood words that we're going to be using going forward in understanding the Schumann resonances. All right, so the AC, so let's start. The AC is the alternating current circuit. All right, where am I here? Boop. This right here. This is the results of lightning discharges or the DC sources, or irradiance or lightning. Waves which vacillate eventually coalesce, combining into interference patterns which we recognize as the Schumann resonances. All right, I'm going to write a little bit more on this. This is a good bookmarker, but I've said more in other places, and I'll have to look for it. Basically, the AC circuit is what happens between the ionosphere and the Earth ground. Right. So the Schumann resonances operate in the AC circuit, and AC circuit just means up and down. It's a wave, back and forth, up and down, whereas DC, direct current, means it goes one way, does work, and then comes back. All right, so that's the difference between the two. There's the AC circuit is another way to put it. The AC circuit is what connects the upper DC to the lower DC circuit. Okay, next one. Amplitude. It's the measurement of intensity or height of the signal, which is called the vertical conductivity. It's measured in units of decibels of pico-electron-Volts. A dipole type antenna is used to measure amplitude. And the antenna type that they use at Cumiania in Italy is a Marconi type, and they talk a little bit about that on their website. Okay, the at-rest fair weather state is the theoretical 0 point, which starts as the dark blue with a navy-colored background, which is as above. This was taken out of somewhere, so it's not the above stated, doesn't apply there, which is the interactive canvas. Upon this, a canvas gets reported with or plotted by the information of the dependencies. All right, I'm going to have to reword some of these because it's a little clunky way to put it. All right, but basically the at-rest fair weather state, it goes with the dark blue of the navy background of the thing right below it. But the at-rest fair weather state is when essentially nothing much is happening on the Schumann. And you can see here, this is the local, wait, hold on a sec. All right, so this right here is the dark blue. This is the fair weather at rest state of the environment. And you can see way, way, way up here. This is today, not my icon. This is today's the most current Schumann of is the one behind me. Okay, so there's an elastic point, a balance point that the environment, the atmosphere wants to go back to. And so that's what the dark blue of this kind of represents, the at-rest fair weather state of the Schumann. And so it starts from there at that very dark blue, and then as things happen and the dependencies file information, file reports onto the spectrogram, it changes the coloring off of that dark blue into a different shade, a green or a white or what have you, based on the dependency, the mode. All right. So the dark blue, the navy background, is the darkest blue of the chart, which represents the fair weather at rest condition of the atmosphere. Regularly, the area of the spectrogram between the 30 Hz and 40 Hz harmonic, which is the cap of the chart, is dark blue. The coloring of the spectrogram is based on the subtraction from the dark blue, which is, into the direction of the reporting dependency, such as white, during clear amplitude bursts. So the colors that you get on the Schumann spectrogram are based on the interaction from the starting point of the dark blue into the direction that you're moving in, which is, again, either the green or the white. All right, our color palette, as we say. All right, frequency. The standard means of measuring of wavelengths in terms of meters or kilometers in this case. The frequency measurements are of the actual waves themselves and not of the resonant harmonics. The spectrogram shows the horizontal bands, which are the resonant harmonics of the Schumann series. So these horizontal bands right here, well, there it is right there. So the horizontal bands right here, and then there's another one there lower. All right. That is, let me lower myself down here. Wrong one. Boop. Yeah, that's me. All right, there you go. Okay, good. So the one band here, that's the resonant harmonic. That's the 7.8. And this one here is, 7.8. And this one here is 14.4. Okay, I'm looking at my monitor thinking it's working over there. All right. So, again, this is the frequency of radio waves. We have to remember that. They're electromagnetics. People call it light, but it's at the very lowest end of the light spectrum where it's coherent waves. All right, as you get up higher in frequency, it goes from being a wave into a particle. And it's really important to remember that at this point, they're coherent waves, and these are measured in kilometers. So the frequency, the standard way of measuring the frequency of a radio wave is the kilometer band. All right. So that's the frequency of radio waves. However, we have more on frequency. This is a term with a broad and often confusing usage. For our purposes, we'll define this term. Frequency properly is used to designate peak event over time, which is a cycle per second, or a wave. A wave moves as a peak function, so peak to peak, which moves in a horizontal fashion. Amplitude is the vertical frequency or intensity as measured by decibels of electron-volts. Spikes relative to the spectrogram are scaled vectors based upon the limitations of the scope itself. So what you see in the spectrogram, the amplitude is scaled in to fit the size. A peak it's a relative peak. It's scaled to fit into the size available on the spectrogram. The resonant frequency is the difference between two fundamental or originating waves called wave fronts. These fundamentals run into and over each other repeatedly, causing interference patterns, which are known as standing waves. These are quasi-stationary, meaning they oscillate in situ or in place in the atmosphere. Harmonics are a series of resonances which are splitting off from the original primary resonance into a harmonic set of evenly spaced resonant frequency variants. In this case, it's a differential frequency, or the separation between the resonant harmonics, which is 6.6 hertz. Again, this is a difference or a differential in the series, as these more fundamentals break up into each other and then cause smaller wavelengths, smaller bits, which are higher harmonic, next harmonic up. Okay. Frequency, as given in the standard measurements of radio waves, is the distance in kilometers over time. The number values given in the dependency from Tomsk is the measure of kilometers. This is not the resonant frequency. So the frequency that you see with the dependency is not the harmonic frequency, it's a wave frequency. Okay? Frequency is the electric side of frequency of the electric scale of a person is separated by 10 hertz. Each of your primary energy center portals, the chakras, operates at 10 hertz differentials. So your root starts at 10, the sacral, which is the orange, that's at 20, your solar plex, the yellow, that's at 30, your heart, the green one, that's at 40, your throat is at 50, your third eye is 60, this one here is 70, and then you have successively up like that. So that is a view of the meridian system. Your frequency is the base 10. All right, and then there's frequency is periodicity of the heart rate function, which is the synchronization of body centers with states of brain waves called coherence, which is resonating at a sympathetic frequency to cohere to someone else's frequency, and you both come into a coherence with each other. There you meet each other somewhere in the middle. Then sympathetic vibration is the best way of looking at this phenomena, especially it's where one base resonance was moved to meet the other stronger resonance. So in other words, when you move your resonance to meet up with the Schumann to evacuate your lowest frequencies, the fear and everything, you give it over to the Schumann. You let it resonate at that frequency and you release it to the earth. And it's part of what the grounding is meeting that frequency and giving it over so you can rise above it. Okay, next is charge, which is the voltage measured as a plus or minus. This is an intensity or the vertical conductivity channel. This would be the measurement of amplitude. And again, we have the decibel of electron-volts, or decibels of pico-electron-volts with the charge. Current is a direction such as north or south or east or west. That should be or. This is the horizontal conductivity channel, and this is the measurement of quality or magnetic flux, and properly this would be frequency, which is a cycle per second. Okay, then you have the DC circuit, which is direct current circuit, generates from, there's two. I'm going to mention that there's two actually. And I wrote that, I forgot to put the other parts of this to it. All right, so there's the upper DC circuit and the lower DC circuit. But basically, the first DC circuit, direct current circuit, is the sun to the planet in the intermagnetic planetary line. All right, so that's the first DC circuit. And then the second DC circuit is the lower DC circuit of the earth ground, of the telluric currents of the earth ground circuit. Okay. So the lower DC circuit generates in the direction generates, all right, DC, direct current circuit generates from the direct radiation of the sun to earth connectivity, further transmitting and conducting through the planetary ley lines. Many rocks are actually conductive under the proper circumstances. All right, so I'm going to have to rewrite this. That's not quite done, but you get the basic picture. There's the upper and the lower DC circuit. All right. Harmonics. Frequency waves are peak-to-peak events, which is strongly measured as hertz or cycles per second. As the originating frequency waves travel around the planet, interfering with each other, these interferences start to rarefy or stack up into the series of harmonics, which are seen as horizontal bands on the spectrogram at 6.6 hertz increments, starting at the base of 7.8 resonant frequency. The ionosphere, this is a long one. This envelope essentially is where the irradiance from our sun is turned from the plasma into visible light. Through having certain densities of the plasma discharges from our sun caught within the magnetic gravity of the Earth's magnetic field. This plasma type C of electron charge, plus or minus, is an envelope of electronic potential of approximately 200 to 250,000 volts. This layer of highly charged electrons envelops and encircles the Earth planetary sphere as a boundary layer of high charge potential, which holds intact the mass of plasma, not penetrating the magnetosphere. This system is held intact and constant due to the spinning motion of the planet and various atmospheric pressures of the spatially dense elements of oxygen, nitrogen, argon, etc. Okay. All right. These are all in context of what I wrote. So this, I'll be working on these, but this is just a basic definition of what I had up to this point. All right. Light exists as both a particle and a wave. Particles may be contained within or as a plasma field, which is shapeless, formless, existing unified through their shared bonds of electrons. They exist within time or as time, without a spatial or density construct anchoring them into place. These exist without space, essentially. Time as a universal construct, or linear time, that should say, as a universal construct, starts to dissolve within the constraints of these plasmic fields. Okay? And then there's the lowest resistance or least resistance principle, the easier means of conducting the high potential into its grounding home of the planet's DC circuit. A lightning strike is not a straight line, yet the crooks and jags are indeed the linear resolution of a pathway of least resistance. A pathway is not forced, it is allowed through the exchange of charged plasmic and photonic energies into cohesive wave. Okay? Modes 1 to 4. These are the four basic colors, which are white, yellow, red, and green, used to plot the spectrogram, which is a composite of the dependencies which are above given. Mode is a relatively complex ratio of wave size and shapes in proportion between the amplitude and the quality. The amplitude is electric and the quality is the magnetic. The electric is the upright, the magnetic is the horizontal. Pico is -15 decimal places. So these number values technically are on the negative side. They're negative values because they are such weak and subtle forces. This charge is 1,000 times weaker than the Earth's natural magnetic field, which is measured in nanos. Okay, quality is the magnetic flux, or the horizontal frequency, which is the wave function of peak-to-peak measurement as measured in picoteslas. The intermagnetic planetary link is measured in nanoteslas. Induction coils are used to measure quality. Okay, next one, rectification. Okay, this one's a little difficult for people to understand, I think. Rectification. It's one of the primary understandings is about the function of the rectifier. This is a mechanism that transduces one to the other, AC current to DC charge. The human body is a transducer of AC into DC of the electric ground circuit. Much of the activation of the atmospheric charge around us is not intended for us to hold on to, as it results in multitudes of problems for our nervous system, concomitant with cognitive and mental functions. So, the atmospheric electronics, EMF in the atmosphere, which is not only the Schumann resonances, but all of the electronics that are around us, the electronic pollution as well, needs to be cleared from us. Otherwise, when we accumulate these charges, we have problems, a lot of problems. So the ringing, and you can get all kinds of other mental issues as well by not releasing the problems. Okay. The spectrogram is the composite plotting of the above detailed dependencies and their modes. So that will be amplitude, quality, and frequency. Horizontal bands represent the actual Schumann resonances. And this right here, we're looking at the spectrogram behind me on the screen behind me. So this is what the spectrogram looks like. Resonant harmonics are a series of standing waves which are caused by EMF waves bouncing into one another to create standing wave patterns along a spectrum or range of frequencies. This is not just a frequency, this is also an intensity of signals. The spectrogram is a weaving together of the two directions of electromagnetic signals as they pass through the atmosphere. And they resonate with us all the time, basically. All right, the Schumann resonance waveguide. The so-called waveguide of the Schumann resonances is the insulating cavity of the ionosphere to Earth. And this is also, as I explained above, what is known as the AC current circuit, or the AC circuit. This cavity remains consistent over the course of time. Yet, there are variable fluctuations which happen periodically, such as diurnal, which is day or night variations, and occasions with coronal mass ejections. This cavity is generally consistent, yet fluctuations of this affect the Schumann resonance readings through increasing the density of the harmonics. UTC is Universal Time Code, which is an atomic clock based in Greenwich, England. It determines a second based on the decay of cesium atoms in a magnetic bottle, not one which is based on the previous method of solar year or the Earth's annual solar revolutions. Okay, last one for right now. White mode light, the white light, the gamma light that everyone talks about, the 5D gamma X-ray light. All right, this is white mode light. Okay, strong, clear amplitude spikes will peak in the white mode, which is number 1, due to the narrow wave form that this mode is measuring. The shape of the wave as a high charge, or positive charge, high voltage, gets plotted as a strong white on the spectrogram. Beneath this, however, is also a supporting yellow color, which further emphasizes a white characteristic to the spectrogram report. So, because it's white and yellow together, it technically would be a pale white, but that's why you get that white light that's only white, is because underneath it you have yellow to support it. Okay. So, 35 minutes. All right. Well, this is long enough, definitely. All right. So, that's it for today. This was I wanted it to be a relatively quick video, just give you an update. So it's actually a 25-minute video because I did a 10-minute introduction here. All right. So I'm going to put this in the editing suite and kind of take out anything I don't like, and I will be posting it a little later tonight. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who, and your love and support, and even if you don't make comments here while I'm away, you still do keep me in your prayers, and I know that the people thinking of me, people thinking of you, and you all are thinking of me, and I appreciate everyone being here, and just thanks for being here, and thanks for wanting to learn about what is really going on with the Schumann resonances, and not the kind of made up narrative to keep you in the dark. And this is the veracity of my work is a gift from the universe, and I do this because that's what the mission is. But because the universe loves you, and I do too, you need to get the correct, proper information. Eventually, we're all going to make it back to source. The question is, how long do you want that journey to take? Okay, so on that cheery note, thank you all for being here, and have a great rest of your night, and I'm gonna be making some more videos soon. I have a lot of material. I just have to figure out what I want to do. I've been putting a lot of stuff together. There's a lot of things to talk about. Every day I get, periodic. I get updates in my email of all kinds of great stuff that I would like to share with you. And as I'm able to, I will. So thank you all for being here. Namaste. Have a great rest of your night. Thank you.